Good morning and welcome to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I am located at 1563 Main Street in Peckville, and I am here every Sunday from 8 to 9 on these stations to bring you, the landowner, valuable information that you need regarding natural gas developments here in Pennsylvania. Very excited this week. I'm going to jump into the promotion for Wednesday. This Wednesday, October 21st, I am very excited about this. I really am. I am going to be appearing as a guest on Mike Neff's radio show called Tioga County Today. I'm going to be on from 10 to 11 a.m. this Wednesday. We'll be broadcasting from Cafe 1905 in Dunham's Department Store in Wellsboro. Again, that's Cafe 1905 from Dunham's Department Store this Wednesday from 10 to 11. Come down, join us. Look forward to seeing people there. Look forward to being on the show. And then, because I was going to be out in the area, and regular listeners know, I've been talking more about Tioga County in recent times, and because there's a lot going on there. There is, I have a lot of clients, again, more clients in that area, and there's a lot of activity. There's activity with new pipeline projects. There's activity with leasing. There's activity with well pad and development. So we're seeing a lot of, it's kind of like a hotter spot that we're seeing in Pennsylvania now. So with that comes the issues that come along with these things. The pipeline agreement issues, agreements regarding developing property, well pads, understanding your lease. What are you able to do and what are you not able to do? Maybe you don't like the location where the company is presenting this. All of these issues come up and many, many more. And there are a lot of these issues that are facing the Tioga County, Lycoming County, and other counties that are surrounding that area. So saw this as an opportunity and said, hey, I want to get out there. I want to get good quality, credible information and get some education out there from the landowner's side. So from 6 to 8 p.m. this Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m., you can come join me. I'm going to be doing a free landowner seminar, a free seminar for landowners. And this is not some type of just a commercial out there. I'm going to be out there saying, hire me, hire me, hire me. What I'm going to be doing, I'm putting together a PowerPoint, and I'm going to be talking to landowners. I'm going to be explaining what are these hot issues that are facing you in this area. What do I think you need to know? What do you need to be looking for? What are your rights? And I know that it's going to be, I have no doubt in the world, it is going to be a very valuable experience for you if you're out there facing any of these issues. So really encourage you to come. Again, 6 to 8 p.m. this Wednesday. It's at the Dean Center for Performing Arts. It's located at 104 Main Street in Wellsboro. Again, 100% free for you, the landowner. And I can't wait to get out there. I'm excited. Been putting together the materials, and I can start getting fired up because I'm really excited because I think there's a vacuum out in Tioga County. And what I mean is a vacuum of information. And I think that people are signing bad agreements, bad pipeline agreements, other agreements. And I think that it's just an area where we're seeing development, and it's not an area where there's been a lot of seminars or activity out there in the past as far as educational from the landowner perspective. And that's what we want to do. Go out, want to speak with people, and want to provide good information that you can use as you move forward and as this development continues. I am Attorney Doug Clark. You're listening to All Things Marcellus. We got this radio show again every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. I've been doing the show for over 5 years. I represent landowners and oil and gas right owners, not gas or pipeline companies. Never have, and I never will. I represent landowners, and that's like I say, with this seminar, we want to get landowners the information that you need. At the Clark Law Firm, I represent landowners and have for many years, gas leases, pipeline agreements. And if you're out there in Tioga County, you got to come to the seminar and hear the pipeline presentation. I've done pipeline agreements. I've negotiated pipeline agreements with over 50 companies in Pennsylvania, across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, over 50 companies. So I really do. I want to have this experience to work for you and to help educate you and get you informed of some of these critical issues, because one of the things that's personally driving me crazy is that people continue to sign really bad pipeline agreements where they're leaving often tens of thousands of dollars and even hundreds of thousands of dollars on occasion, and more than one, in many occasions, that money is available if you knew how to negotiate, or if you fought and you understood your rights. So it's really, really important. And again, every case is unique. You need to understand your circumstances, and I'll be talking about that as I have on other radio shows. But we really want to make sure that you understand your circumstances, and we don't want you, if there's the potential to have an increase in compensation by tens of thousands, or literally in some cases hundreds of thousands of dollars, we want you to be informed, understand this, and if there is that opportunity, we want to make sure that you're doing everything you can to take advantage of that opportunity. Also, we want to make sure that as far as the agreement terms, the written language, that we're limiting what the company is doing and that you understand your rights. It's so critical to understand your rights. Can you say no to this agreement? What can you negotiate? What type of realistic expectations should you have? We don't want to sit there and you have a false expectation and have an agreement on the table that is a very good agreement, but you think maybe falsely you estimate your leverage and you're wrong in your estimation, and then it ends up costing you money or costing you an agreement. So there's a couple sides to this thing. We want to make sure that you understand your rights, that you understand what your options are, and that's going to be a big part. And probably a fairly big part about the seminar, but there's going to be a lot more. So it's not going to be limited to one topic. Again, this Wednesday from 6 to 8, free to all area landowners in Wellsboro at the Dean Center for Performing Arts, located at 104 Main Street, Wellsboro, this Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. And look, this seminar is not going to be about a commercial. However, if you need representation, you're looking for representation. Again, I represent only landowners. My clients reside all across the state and have resided all across the state or Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and also literally across the country. So never fear that, he's on the northeastern part of the state, that's too far away. Give us a call, 570-307-0702. That's 570-307-0702. We have clients all over, and I can tell you, rarely, if ever, has distance or location been an issue. I have a couple clients right now in Greene County, which is the most southwestern county in Pennsylvania. Represented many other landowners in that area in the past. So again, do not worry about location. If you need representation, give me a call, 570-307-0702, and we'll see if we're the right ones for you. Also, reminder, check out the websites. I've been doing All Things Marcellus for over 5 years now. 5 years have passed, we hit our 5-year anniversary in August. So I've been doing it for over 5 years. Check out pagasleaseattorney.com. Check out pipelineattorney.com. Great landowner information. We're very proud of the sites. We get a bunch of compliments on the sites. Check them out, pagasleaseattorney.com, pipelineattorney.com, whether you're looking for representation or looking for information. A lot of great information there. Also, if you're going to attend a seminar this Wednesday, you can shoot me a question. Shoot me some questions. What would you like to hear? Is there a topic you'd like to hear me address? I want this to be for you, the landowner. We're going to be out in Tioga County. I want to make the best of this. I want to get you the best information that we possibly can. So you can go to pagasleaseattorney.com. You can go to pipelineattorney.com. You can send me an email. You can shoot it through the website. All the information is there. And if you're going to be attending the seminar, drop us your name, your question. Love to see you, and hopefully, and I'm sure, have a chance to introduce ourselves after the seminar, or possibly even before. Again, the seminar is 6 to 8 p.m. at the Dean Center this Wednesday. It's located at the 104 Main Street in Wellsboro. And so, please forgive me, talking a lot about the seminar, but I really want to encourage people to come out. I'm really excited about it. I know it's going to be good information. I know in my mind that if you come out and you're interested and you want to get information, this is going to be very valuable to you. And again, it's not going to be some, hey, hire me, hire Doug Clark. You're not going to hear that at all. What you're going to hear is quality information. I'm going to really zoom in on issues that you need to be aware of and you need to be thinking about if you're in Tioga County. So really looking forward to seeing everybody. Okay, up against it here in the first segment. When we come back, I'm going to talk about, I talked about some leasing terms the other day. I talk about some exceptionally troublesome terms that you may run into. And when we get back, I'll give you some examples, tell you, what we need to be looking out for. And as I'll often say, there's no such thing that I've ever seen as a perfect gas lease or a perfect pipeline right-of-way agreement. They're not going to be perfect, but what do we want to do? We want to identify areas where there's weakness, areas where the company may be able to take advantage of certain language, and maybe we can't change that, but at least we're going to be aware of it, and we're going to use that when we weigh out all the different facts and scenarios, and we weigh out all the different language in the agreement. We want to make sure that you are fully informed, and when you make your decision whether to lease, sign a pipeline right-of-way agreement, whatever that document may be, that you've considered all the factors and you recognize that there's weaknesses, you know what they are, and you're not going to be surprised in the future. I do not, for all of my clients, I sit down and we talk on the phone, we sit down, I say, listen, we want to make sure that my goal is to get you the best lease I can, the best pipeline right-of-way agreement I can. I want to get you the most money we can get you. We want to get you the best language and the best terms. We want to restrict the company as much as we can. We're going to talk about where we've restricted them. We're going to talk about where your agreement is very strong, but also we're going to talk about, hey, where is it weak? Where do we try to make some gains, but we're unable to do so? Or, hey, we wanted to make gains to a certain point, but the company wouldn't allow us to go that far. So we've had to resolve this at a lower or for terms that aren't quite as good. Let's talk about that. So you weigh all those things together and you decide, okay, yeah, I recognize where it's weak. I recognize where we may have some issues in the future, but I'm willing to do this based upon the amount of compensation and other factors that are going to be involved in your situation. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, attorney Doug Clark at the Clark Law Firm, here every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m., and I'm going to be right back after this break. Welcome back to All Things Marcellus with me, attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Reminder, if you miss any of today's show, you can go back, not just today's show, because we're talking a lot today about this upcoming seminar that I'll be doing this week on Wednesday, the 21st, at the Dean Center from 6 to 8 p.m., free and open for all Pennsylvania landowners. But I'm really going to be focusing on a lot of the issues that are facing not only Tioga County landowners, but certainly that's a focus, but also other landowners in the region. So again, you can join me this Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Dean Center. Look, encourage everybody to come, any and all landowners. Come check us out. I am putting together a PowerPoint, be answering questions and addressing issues that are hot issues affecting landowners in your area. And I think this is something that really is going to be beneficial for Tioga County landowners. So we're hoping we get a nice turnout there, because It's an area I get a lot of calls from Tioga County. I've represented many people in Tioga County. I currently represent, I don't know the number, but several people in Tioga County. So I see what these issues are. I see where there's some misinformation out there, where people maybe have the wrong ideas, where they're not getting good quality information. So that's going to be the purpose. I want to have everybody that we can to be educated and informed, because certainly the gas companies, pipeline companies, their representatives, their landmen are out there, they're informed, and we want to make sure that you're also, we want to even that playing field as much as we possibly can. Again, you're listening to Attorney Doug Clark. This is All Things Marcellus. Miss any of today's show or any of the other shows, we've hit our 5-year anniversary. Been doing this show, All Things Marcellus, for over 5 years. Hit our 5-year anniversary in August of this year, 2015, and we're continuing to roll, and we will continue to roll forward. So you can go check out pagasleaseattorney.com, listen to prior shows that we have up and available on the website, and also anyone can always contact me directly at 570-307-0702. And I'm not sure if I said it in the first segment. I want to remind people, if you are going to, if you can make it this Wednesday to the seminar from 6 to 8 in Wellsboro at the Dean Center, you can also, in advance of the seminar, you can shoot me email questions. Go to pagasleaseattorney.com and you can shoot emails to us here at the office. And if there's a topic or questions you have you'd like to hear us address, I will try to do that. So you can email, go to pagasleaseattorney.com. You can send us an email. And if you have a topic or questions or concerns, shoot me an email and I'll do what I can to address it either in the seminar or maybe afterwards, but we'll do the best that we can. Okay. I want to turn now. I was talking to about some lease issues a couple weeks ago, and I've talked about we want to identify. I've looked at so many different lease forms. I've negotiated, hundreds of leases over these years, and one of the things that we see is that some leases have unusual language that we don't see often, and usually that language is beneficial to the company. So we want to identify that. So when I talk to my clients and I talk to landowners, I say, well, here I want to point out some unusual language here that is very beneficial to the company. Then we also want to talk about, how problematic do we think this is going to be? And it becomes part of this overall equation whenever you're making a decision whether you want to enter into the gas lease, pipeline agreement, surface use agreement, any contract. What we want to do is we want to make it as good as we can, and we want to identify the weaknesses. We want to identify where there may be potential problems in the future. One of the things we want to look at too, as an example, let me back up. As an example here, with royalty issues, we deal with a lot of royalty issues and such items as such as deductions for post-production costs, meaning the costs that a company incurs after the gas is produced. There are, and I'm sure still, thousands of landowners who do not understand whether they're going to have these deductions taken or what their company may do in the future. And I'll tell you, it's not always a guarantee that I could sit there and say, here's what this company is going to do. In most cases, I can tell, but it's still not 100% guarantee. And that's a discussion too. If you don't know an answer, well, then you say, hey, look, I don't know the answer, but I like to explain why I say I don't know the answer. Meaning, we look at this lease. We look at how this company has treated this lease before, or maybe we have a situation where we haven't seen the company, how they're going to treat the lease language relative, in our example, to deductions. So we say, look, I can't guarantee you with complete certainty what this company is going to do, but here's what I can tell you. Here's what they've done in these other cases. Here's what other companies have done with this language. Here's what kind of the book on this company is with respect to royalty payments and deductions. So this is what we would anticipate. Now, you would say, well, geez, can't we eliminate any uncertainty? Can't we guarantee that we're going to have no deductions or eliminate any of this uncertainty? Well, sometimes maybe you can, but unfortunately many times that you can't. So what do we need to do then? Well, we need to make it as strong as we can, identify the weaknesses, discuss the weaknesses, and allow you as the landowner to consider the fact that, hey, this lease isn't perfect. None of them are. However, it's going to give me a certain amount of money in a bonus payment. It's going to have the potential to pay me royalties at a certain royalty percentage. Also, maybe it's going to have a high likelihood that you're going to either eliminate or minimize future royalty deductions. Those are all possibilities, and those are all part of that equation. On the flip side, maybe your lease is clearly going to allow royalty deductions for post-production costs. Well, you know that, you understand that. We can try and try and try, but if we can't change it, we can't change it. Well, that's your decision that you have to make and say, well, many people out there have leases where deductions are being taken. Yes, we do not want those deductions to be taken, but you can't always stop it. And in many times today, you can't stop it, but sometimes you can. And the difference of knowing what to do and knowing how to draft and to negotiate this language can truly be the difference of tens of thousands and literally hundreds of thousands, and depending on the size of the property, even millions of dollars into the future. So we want to make sure that we're doing the best we can, and we want to make sure that we're identifying weaknesses. And if we find lease language which is exceptionally unique and very company friendly, I want to identify that with the landowner, and we want to talk about it. And we want to say, hey, here's what this means. Can we change it? Let's make an effort to change it. If it doesn't look like we can change it, then we have to say, hey, look, we made an effort. We can't change it. How do we handle this? Do you still want to proceed? And you weigh all of these different items out to what this overall benefits are and what the overall concerns are. You're listening to Attorney Doug Clark, All Things Marcellus. I'm here every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. And here you go. Yet again, I'm going to beat you over the head with this because I really want to see you. This Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m., I'm going to be at the Dean Center for Performing Arts. Did I say Sunday? This Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Dean Center for Performing Arts, 104 Main Street, free landowner seminar for you, the landowner. Not some commercial, not selling you anything. I'm providing you information, education, especially on the hotter topics that are facing Tioga County landowners and other landowners in that area. Again, to clarify, this Wednesday, October 21st, 6 to 8 p.m., join me for this seminar for you, the landowner. I promise you, it is going to be good, valuable information for all people who attend. Okay. You're listening again to All Things Marcellus. I want to talk about some of this lease language. One of the things, and it happened by accident, I was talking about deductions. Well, one of the things I want to talk about is, we have this problem where we're suing gas companies, or attorneys are, because of deductions being taken, and whether it be that the deductions we believe should not even be taken, whether it's believed that they're excessive, whatever the case may be, there are a lot of litigation, lawsuits being filed or have been filed against gas companies. And what we want to know is, well, okay, many times people say, if I sue the gas company, can they withhold my money? What will happen? And generally, we haven't seen that ever occur to date that I've seen. But, holding a lease here, and this is language I want to talk to my client. We'd want to address, hey, do we think that your lease lends itself to a potential royalty issue in the future? And sometimes, and this is a hard concept, look, it's not about trying to get some job security for a potential future lawsuit by any means. However, if you have an option and you have a lease presented to you, and one lease form says one lease form that you could sign says, we absolutely are going to take deductions for any cost that we incur once that gas hits the surface of the earth. Meaning you're going to get wellhead price guaranteed. And ladies and gentlemen, we want further downstream. We don't want wellhead price. We want a sales price. Remember that. Too many people still think, oh, wellhead price is good. Hey, look, maybe that's all we can get, but that's not what our goal is. Our goal is we want to price wherever it's being sold at, and hey, we want the price that's being sold at in Maine. We're not probably going to be able to do that well, but that's what you want. So just remember, wellhead. Many people say, oh, wellhead, I'm getting a wellhead price. That's not what our goal is. Maybe that's the best we can do, but that's not what the goal is. So if you have a lease form in front of you that says, we're going to pay you, landowner, wellhead price guaranteed. So any benefit or any cost that we incur to transport this gas beyond the wellhead, to move it from the wellhead to the interstate pipeline and so on, those costs are going to be deducted from your payments. So if they sell the gas for $1.50, but they incurred $1 in transportation costs, well, those are going to be deducted, and so now you're getting the 50 cents per unit, not the $1.50. You're getting royalty on the 50 cents. So my point is, if you have a lease that clearly says that, well, you know what you're getting. However, you may have the alternative where you have a lease form that you can get some addendum language, and I'll use the market enhancement clause. You can have some addendum language that says something like, we will give you, we will not take deductions in order to transport, gather, compress, and so on the gas. However, anything we do to enhance the value of marketable gas, we can deduct. So, well, we know that many companies out there are saying, well, this gas is marketable as soon as it comes out of the ground. So therefore, when we transport it forward, we are actually enhancing marketable gas. So what does that mean? Well, that means whether you had that provision. So if you have that market enhancement clause in there, some companies are essentially going to say, hey, look, that gas is marketable the second it comes out of the ground, and by transporting it, that is an enhancement of marketable gas, and therefore we can deduct those transportation costs. So companies are going to say that. Well, there's uncertainty there because we're going to argue, no. Gas isn't marketable to wellhead. It's not marketable until you get it to that first point of sale. And so therefore you can't take those deductions. Well, if you have your choice and there's a lease in front of you, and one option is, hey, wellhead price, guarantee the company can take deductions, no doubt about it, never going to be an argument, versus the second lease, which says there's a market enhancement clause there, and we know that the company you're dealing with takes deductions with the market enhancement clause. We still want that clause because there may be a way that you can benefit from that clause in the future. If there is a litigation, if there is a class action, if there's some lawsuit or some change in legislation, whatever the case may be, we want to make sure that you can potentially benefit from that. So though at the present time there may not be an immediate benefit, we want you in the game, so to speak. We want you sitting at the table as a person who may be able to get a benefit if circumstances change in the future. So very important. We want to maximize every opportunity you have. I'm way over. You're listening to Attorney Doug Clark. This is All Things Marcellus. I am here I'm getting Wednesdays and Sundays confused. I am here every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. And why am I getting Wednesday confused? Because this Wednesday from 10 to 11, I'm going to be a guest on Mike Neff's radio show called Tioga County Today. And we're broadcasting. Come down and check us out. Cafe 1905, Dunham's Department Store, 10 to 11 this Wednesday, October 21st. And That night, Wednesday, October 21st from 6 to 8, I will be at the Dean Center for Performing Arts doing a free landowner seminar. Come on down. Free landowner seminar at the Dean Center from 6 to 8 p.m. That's located at 104 Main Street in Wellsboro. And I'm going to be right back after this break. Welcome back to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Hey, I want to say real quick, I've been doing a lot of these, and I've mentioned it recently, reviews and consultations. What do I mean by that? With any agreement, you should never sign any agreement at all with a gas company without getting representation. It's not something that we've been used to in Pennsylvania. You've heard me say before, I don't think my parents ever went to a lawyer my entire life until, or other than doing a simple basic will. But for people in the gas areas, those times have changed. You need to protect yourself. Fortunately, if you need a lawyer, fortunately, it's because you're going to be receiving some sort of benefit and you need to protect yourself. So it's not, it's a different world today in these gas areas where you do not want to be taken advantage of. And as most people know, thousands upon thousands of people have been taken advantage of so far, and it continues to happen. So with any agreement, whether you call me or call someone else, you should have representation. There are agreements that are occurring all the time that people are signing and missing out on tens of thousands, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if you had good quality advice or assistance, you would not only maximize the compensation, the money you get, but also limit the company's ability to operate on your property, limit the grant. Limit what you are giving them when you sign the agreement, and they're not going to tell you, why you're giving them too many rights. They're not going to say, boy, you shouldn't give them that, or you don't need to give us this, because the landman works for the company. I almost didn't get it in here. The landman works for the company, not for you. These companies are represented by lawyers. They have in-house counsel. They've been doing this for many, many years. They know how to protect themselves. You need to protect yourself as well. So I've been doing these consultation and reviews. With any agreement, you should absolutely have representation before you sign anything. Number two, there's been times recently with there's a lot of these FERC pipeline projects. FERC stands FERC, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Many landowners across Pennsylvania have had this unfortunate knock on the door saying, hey, we're going to put a pipeline, or we want you to sign this agreement. We're going to put a pipeline across your property. You say, well, I don't want it. And essentially, I don't say it in these words, but too bad. This is going to be an interstate, being state-to-state project. We're filing, if we haven't already filed, an application with FERC, which is, again, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. And if we don't reach an agreement and we get our certificate of public convenience and necessity from FERC, well, then we're going to have the eminent domain authority, and we can condemn or take your property if we don't have an agreement. If you have that situation, I highly recommend, and this is a commercial alert here, I highly recommend you give us a call. I've done many of these reviews and consultations for several different FERC projects. Every single one of them has been very valuable to the landowners, and I know that only because they've said that. And I know the information that's out there. I know that there's a lot of confusion. People are overwhelmed. If you have one of these projects, give us a call. At least we'll do a review and consultation. Learn your rights, what to expect. Formulate a plan and strategy. How do you want to handle this? What are other landowners getting in this project? What might you be able to get? When should you really intensify the negotiations? And that's an individual situation. We need to give you individual advice, but educate you on the process to make the best of this situation. In almost all of these cases, they are unwanted situations. Many landowners with these FERC pipeline projects are not in areas where gas is being produced, and so it's even more disheartening, more troubling for them, where the company wants to come and put this pipeline across their property that they do not want. So I encourage you, if this is a type of situation you're in, give us a call, 570-307-0702, 570-307-0702. We can do an initial review and consultation. Send me your information. I've almost definitely have seen the project before. Get a plan together. We can do it by phone. We can do it in person, but highly recommend it because I know that it's going to be valuable for you as you go forward. And, it's the same type of thing too. If you are considering, and this is something that, every one of these calls seems to, or an in-office visit seems to be very valuable for the landowner. And I think it always is. If you're considering selling all or any portion of your oil and gas rights, mineral rights, whatever, call us. Let's have a consultation. Let me explain what the pitfalls are, where there are potential problems. We want to make sure, I had just another one this week where we left a call. And landowner said, I'm so glad we had this call because I didn't even understand these different options that I had and what I could do. And it turns out that the landowner is going to go in a completely different direction and is very happy with this direction and very glad that we've talked so they understand some of these other options that they didn't even know existed before. Also, we want to identify, if you're going to sell these gas rights, the documentation, the sales agreement, ultimately the deed, but the sales agreement is very, very important. There are many, many pitfalls that you have to watch out for. And think about this. Are you going to sell your oil and gas rights? You're going to sell your oil and gas rights forever, based on a postcard or a letter that you received in the mail, and you're not going to get independent assistance to make sure that you understand everything. I mean, it is an unbelievably uneven playing field. We need to make sure that you're informed. So forgive me for the commercial, but it's just too valuable. It is too valuable. If you are going to do anything, you can always call me. However, I want to focus. If you're involved, if you're approached or have been approached for a FERC pipeline project, if you're at all considering, if you're seriously considering your oil and gas, or selling your oil and gas or mineral rights, call me 570-307-0702. That's 570-307-0702. Do a review and consult. We'll talk about it. We can do it over the phone no matter where you are. I really want you to be informed. And virtually every single person that I've talked to who are in any of these circumstances, they're not, there's a lot of information that they don't know. So we need to get you that information because you will make the right decisions with more information. Do not go into these things blind. I am Attorney Doug Clark. You're listening to All Things Marcellus. I'm here every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. Make sure you check out pagasleaseattorney.com. Not just about gas leasing. Go check it out. Much more than that. Also, check out pipelineattorney.com. I talk about FERC projects on that site. We have blogs, a lot of great information, and there's obviously business elements to them. However, great information. Good information, whether you're looking for representation or information, we want to make sure you're informed. Check out pagasleaseattorney.com, pipelineattorney.com, and you can check out the radio shows because we have those archived up there. Not all of them, but we have many hours to keep you busy as we go into this winter time. We'll keep you nice and warm with hours upon hours and hours of radio shows. Okay, I'm going to cut this segment a little short so we have a little bit longer segment I went over earlier. Just a reminder, and please bear with me because I am excited. I really am excited about it. This Wednesday, October 21st, number 1, from 10 to 11 a.m., you can come down. Come down to Dunham's Department Store. I'm going to be there. I'm joining Mike Neff on his radio show called Tioga County Today. You can go. It's Cafe 1905. I'll be there from 10 to 11. Really excited about that. Looking forward to doing that. And then, since I'm going to be in the Tioga County area, and there's so much going on out there now, I mean, it's one of the hottest spots in the state, I wanted to do a seminar to get good information out there for landowners. So, That same night, this Wednesday, October 21st from 6 to 8 p.m., you can join me. It's a free landowner seminar. Landowner seminar from 6 to 8 p.m. You can go to the Dean Center for Performing Arts, located at 104 Main Street in Wellsboro. We'll be talking about pipelines. I'm going to talk about gas leases and other issues. And if you have questions or topics, you can go to pagasleaseattorney.com, shoot me an email, and I'll try to address those issues as well at this Wednesday's seminar. Okay. I'll be right back after this break. We're here every Sunday on these stations from 8 to 9 a.m. And again, I'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I want to circle back now. I was going to talk about leasing provisions. I got into the FERC lines a little bit there. Also, if you're considering selling your gas rights. But I want to circle back. I talk about these gas leases, and sometimes you'll see unusual terms that are very beneficial to the company. And what got me on these path and talking about royalty, in this particular lease that I'm holding here, one of the provisions says that the company shall not be required to pay interest on money due under the agreement. So if the company hasn't paid you properly and you find out, hey, you didn't pay me properly, maybe you find out that they didn't pay you properly for 5 years, and say in a wonderful world, well, not wonderful that you weren't being paid properly, but at least that you found that you weren't, maybe they owe you $50,000. Well, this is saying that, hey, if we hadn't paid you properly, we're not obligated to pay any interest. So we would just have to pay you that $50,000, even though that was our mistake. Really good chance you're not going to be able to change that language. Another part is, and this happens, we see this a lot with frustrated landowners, where a well is producing gas, and it produces gas for a whole year, or maybe even more, maybe less, but we'll say produces gas for a year before the landowner actually receives their first royalty check. That can be very frustrating, and understandably for a landowner. You see that the wells are producing, and you know that you have a royalty check coming, but the company's just holding on to it. They're waiting to pay. Now, they may have a good reason. A cynic may say they're holding on to it because they want to keep that money, because there's a value of having that money in their pocket longer than getting it to you. But that's not the purpose of this. We're going to say that it takes a whole year for the company to pay you. That certainly can frustrate, and understandably, the landowner. So the landowner says, hey, maybe your first check, again, we'll have some fun and say they're really high. Let's say your first check was $50,000. And you said, well, geez, company, you held this money for a year before paying me, and I could have been investing that money. I could have earned interest. So because you haven't paid me, we're demanding interest. Now, I've had some cases where I've had some very frustrated landowners where we communicated with companies and said, hey, you haven't paid. It's been a certain amount of time. This is inappropriate. We demand to be paid, and we demand interest for the money that's overdue, that you haven't paid. Most leases are going to be silent on this. And what happened, I'll give you a little inside information. On 3 of the companies we wrote to, they said, there's nothing in the lease that requires that, so too bad. But another company said, okay, yeah, we understand, and we're going to pay you this money, but we're also going to pay you the interest that you've asked for, a certain percentage of interest. And needless to say, that was one of my more favorite companies to deal with. So that gives an example where they're just making it very clear in this lease form, hey, we're not going to pay any interest. Here's another more disturbing portion of this lease, though, under even the same paragraph. It says, if a dispute arises as to the payment amounts or proper payee, so as to how much money is owed or who it's owed to. And I understand certainly with who it's owed to, but this says, if a dispute arises as to a payment amount, the company may withhold payment without liability until the dispute is settled by all necessary parties by written agreement or by final non-appealable court order. Well, that can be an issue. So you're saying, hey, you're not paying me properly, and so the company withholds your funds. Now, please know this is not specific advice. This is unique language. This doesn't necessarily mean that if you sue the gas company, they can withhold your funds. But what do we want to do? We want to try to clarify these issues as much as we possibly can. And in this case, in the past, we were able to make some strides in that regard with this type of lease. Very important, because if you get into a dispute with a company, you don't want to be deterred. Say you have a very strong, valid legal argument, and you have one, and you say, okay, company, you're not paying me properly. Company says, no, we are. And you say, no, I have a very strong, valid argument here. I don't want to, but you're forcing me. I'm going to have to institute litigation against you. Company says, oh, okay, well, then we're withholding these disputed funds, or, are they going to try to expand that and hold more because the lease language allows that? Well, again, please, this is not specific advice. If you think you have a claim, you need to talk to an attorney. You need to talk to an attorney with experience, knowledge, who can guide you. So this isn't specific advice. But what do we want to do? If we can eliminate or mitigate or minimize this type of language, we want to do that. And that's something that's certainly possible. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I'm here every Sunday from 8 to 9 on these stations. And I will be here next week, 8 to 9. We're here every week. Another part of this lease I want to talk about quickly here is there's a provision, and boy, I really dislike this provision. There's a provision that says that the jurisdiction, meaning if there is a dispute that comes under this lease, that the jurisdiction, where can this lawsuit, or where does it have to be brought, that jurisdiction is in the United States District Court. In this case, it's for the Western District of Pennsylvania. It says, or in the Court of Common Pleas in the county where the property is seated, and where is that property located. And then finally, so listen, you got to watch these things. If there's a lawsuit, where is it brought? Where is the jurisdiction? Either in the local federal court, either in the county court. But then there's another part of it, which drives me insane. It says, or at the company's sole option. The company's sole option, any dispute or claim shall be settled in binding arbitration. So what do we have? This says that if you do have a claim, if royalty issues come up, well, what happens? The lawsuit has to be brought either in federal court, it has to be brought either possibly in the county court where the property is located, or if the company wants, not if you want, if the company wants to bring a lawsuit or have the dispute settled in arbitration, it is their sole option. They're the ones that decide. We don't want to create that situation. So we want to try to address that. It's back to, can we eliminate that? Can we set a specific jurisdiction? Can we eliminate that the company has the sole option of arbitration? Do we want to limit arbitration? We want to talk about those things. We want to make it as strong as we can. We want to get what you as a landowner want, what an attorney would recommend for you. And what we end up with, if we can't get exactly what we want to talk about, well, what is the impact that this language may have on you? So that's very important. Remember, in circling back and trying to hopefully bring this all together, when we're dealing with leases, we want to identify where is it strong, where is it weak. Where it's weak, we want to make it better. If we make it as good as we can, and it's still not going to be perfect, we want to then talk about the weaknesses, talk about how will those weaknesses have, what type of practical effect. Do we think that this is something that may come up? How likely is it going to come up, or will it be to come up? And if it does come up, how problematic is it going to be? And on the other side, what the company's always going to be preaching, and there's a fact to it. There's the bonus offer, the bonus money, and the potential of future royalties. So we have to weigh those all out. Sometimes the decision is very easy. Sometimes the decision is very tough. but that's a personal decision that needs to be made with good quality, credible advice where you're getting with somebody working for you, and you don't want to take your advice from the landman because the landman works for the company. They're not there to help you. They're there to get your signature on paper. Had to get that in again. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I know you're probably tired of hearing about it, but the good news is it's going to be this Wednesday. So next week, I'm not going to be talking about this seminar. Two things. This Wednesday, October 21st, this Wednesday, two things we're doing. Coming out to Wellsboro. I'm going to spend a day out there. I'm going to be out there. I'm going to be on Mike Neff's radio show, Tioga County Today. That's from 10 to 11 a.m. on Wednesday the 21st. You actually come on down. We're going to be broadcasting live from Cafe 1905 at Dunham Department Store. Love to meet you. Come on down. Excited about doing the show. And then, because I'm out there, because there's so many issues out there facing Tioga County landowners, I wanted to parlay this into a seminar opportunity. So what we're going to do is I'm going to be doing a seminar free for landowners, free for any landowners in Tioga County and around surrounding areas. Come join me. It's this Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Dean Center for Performing Arts. That's the Dean Center. It's located at 104 Main Street in Wellsboro. I'm going to be talking about pipeline, gas leases, and other issues facing Pennsylvania landowners this Wednesday, 6 to 8. Join me. Love to see you. Can't wait. You are listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark. See you Wednesday. See you Wednesday. See you Wednesday. Have a great week, everyone.